The rain came down in sheets that November evening, turning the downtown streets into rivers of neon reflection. Most people rushed past the huddled figure in the doorway without a second glance, their umbrellas creating a moving canopy of indifference. But Sarah Mitchell stopped. She always stopped. It was a habit her late mother had instilled in her, one that had cost Sarah countless minutes of her life but had given her something far more valuable in return: the ability to see people that others chose to ignore. The woman in the doorway was young, maybe early 20s, with matted blonde hair and eyes that held the kind of exhaustion that sleep couldn't fix. She clutched a cardboard sign that read simply, "Hungry. Anything helps." But it was the small bundle wrapped in a faded pink blanket beside her that made Sarah's heart constrict. A baby. There was a baby. Sarah crouched down, her designer coat pooling in the grimy water, and pulled out her wallet. She had $40 in cash, money she'd been saving for a nice dinner that weekend. The woman's eyes widened as Sarah pressed the bills into her palm. "There's a shelter 3 blocks down on Madison," Sarah said softly. "They'll have warm beds and food." The woman's fingers closed around the money, and tears began streaming down her dirt-streaked face. "I tried. They're full. Everywhere's full." Her voice cracked. "It's her first birthday today." Sarah felt something break open inside her chest. She thought about her own warm apartment, the spare bedroom she used for storage, filled with boxes of things she didn't need. She thought about her mother, who had died 6 months ago, and the promise Sarah had made at her bedside: "I'll be the kind of person who makes you proud." "What's your name?" Sarah asked. "Emma." "Her name is Lily." Sarah made a decision that would change everything. "Come with me." Emma's face registered pure disbelief. "What? You heard me. Come home with me, both of you." Sarah stood up, extending her hand. "I have space. I have food. And that baby needs to be warm and dry." The skepticism in Emma's eyes was heartbreaking. She learned not to trust kindness, because kindness always came with a price. "Why would you do that? You don't even know me." "You're right," Sarah said. "I don't know you, but I know what it's like to need help, and I know that everyone deserves a chance, especially her." She gestured to the baby, whose tiny fist had emerged from the blanket, grasping at nothing. Emma hesitated for what felt like an eternity before she finally took Sarah's hand. That night, Sarah's apartment transformed from a lonely space of grief into something alive. Emma showered while Sarah heated soup and made grilled cheese sandwiches. She found old clothes that would fit, set up the spare bedroom, and dug out a drawer that could serve as a makeshift crib. When Emma emerged, clean and wearing borrowed sweats, she looked like a different person. Younger, more fragile. Over dinner, the story spilled out. Emma had been a college student with dreams of becoming a teacher. Then she'd gotten pregnant. Her religious parents had disowned her. The baby's father had disappeared. She dropped out, worked 3 jobs, but when Lily got sick and the medical bills piled up, she'd lost everything. Her apartment, her car, her dignity. "I tried so hard," Emma whispered, staring at her soup. "I wanted to give her everything. Instead, I gave her nothing." "You gave her love," Sarah said firmly. "And you kept fighting." "That's everything." Over the following weeks, something unexpected happened. Sarah had intended to help Emma get back on her feet, to help her find a job, secure housing, access resources. But what began as charity evolved into something neither woman had anticipated: family. Sarah worked from home as a graphic designer, so she was there when Lily took her first steps, her tiny hands gripping the coffee table. Emma proved to be naturally talented with organization and began helping Sarah with her business, learning design software with surprising speed. They fell into a rhythm. Sarah would handle client calls while Emma managed emails and invoices. Emma would cook dinner while Sarah played with Lily, making her giggle with silly faces. On Christmas Eve, 3 months after that rainy November night, they sat together around Sarah's small tree, watching Lily tear wrapping paper with pure joy. Sarah had bought thoughtful gifts, warm clothes for Emma, toys for Lily, but it was Emma's gift to Sarah that brought tears. It was a framed photograph Emma had secretly taken of Sarah and Lily curled up on the couch, both asleep, Sarah's hand protectively cradling the baby's head. Beneath it, Emma had written, "To the woman who saved us by seeing us. Thank you for showing me that angels don't always have wings. Sometimes they just have umbrellas and open hearts." Sarah couldn't stop the sob that escaped. "I'm not an angel. You're just the person who stopped," Emma interrupted quietly. "When everyone else walked by, you stopped. You saw us. You saw her. Do you know how rare that is?" But the real twist came in January. Sarah received an email from a major corporation interested in acquiring her design company. The offer was substantial and more money than she'd ever dreamed of. During negotiations, she learned they were particularly impressed by her recent work. The projects Emma had helped streamline and organize. Sarah made a counteroffer. She'd sell, but only if they hired Emma as part of the team, with full benefits and a guaranteed position. They agreed. The day Emma got the news, she broke down completely. "I don't understand. Why do you keep doing this? I'm nobody. I was homeless. I have nothing to offer you." Sarah took Emma's face in her hands. "You have everything to offer. You're brilliant. You're hardworking. You're an incredible mother. And you're wrong about being nobody. You're the person who reminded me why I'm here. After my mum died, I was just going through the motions. I had forgotten how to feel anything. You and Lily gave me purpose again. You gave me joy. So really, you saved me too." What Sarah didn't tell Emma was something even deeper. Years ago, Sarah had been the one struggling. She'd been evicted from her apartment, slept in her car, survived on vending machine food. A stranger, a woman whose name she never learned, had bought her a hot meal and slipped her money for a hotel room. That single act of kindness had given Sarah the strength to keep going, to rebuild. She'd always wanted to pay it forward, but she'd become successful and distant from that part of her past. Seeing Emma had been like looking in a mirror, a reminder of who she'd been and who she wanted to be. Spring arrived with blooming cherry trees and new beginnings. Emma started her job, thriving in the structured environment and forming genuine friendships with coworkers. She enrolled in online classes to finish her degree. Lily started daycare, where she was apparently the most social toddler in the class, inheriting her mother's gradually returning warmth and confidence. Sarah and Emma legally became housemates, then best friends, then something that felt like sisters. They attended parenting classes together because Sarah wanted to be the best godmother possible. They hosted dinner parties. They laughed over bad movies and cried over good ones. They built a life that neither had planned but both desperately needed. One evening in late May, Emma found Sarah on the balcony, watching the sunset. "I've been thinking about something," Emma said, settling beside her. "I want to start a foundation for women like me, single mothers who need help but don't know where to turn. I want to create a network of supporter housing, job training, childcare, everything I didn't have. And I was hoping you'd help me build it." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I would be honored." "We'll call it her," Emma continued, "because every woman deserves to be seen, to be valued, to be saved, not because she's earned it, but because she's her, because she exists, because she matters." They launched the foundation 6 months later, funding it with part of Sarah's windfall from selling her company. The first her house opened in their city, providing transitional housing for 10 mothers and their children. Emma ran it with the passion of someone who understood intimately what was at stake. Sarah handled logistics and fundraising, using her business connections to secure donations and support. The night of the grand opening, Sarah stood before a crowd of donors, activists, and local officials. Emma was supposed to speak, but she'd been too emotional, so Sarah took the microphone instead. "A year ago, I walked past a woman in a doorway," Sarah began. "Actually, that's not true. I stopped. I stopped because someone taught me that stopping matters, that seeing people matters, that small acts of kindness create ripples we can't predict. That woman's name is Emma, and she didn't just need help, she deserved it. We all do. Every person struggling on our streets deserves to be seen, to be valued, to be given a chance. This foundation exists because Emma taught me that receiving help with grace is just as powerful as giving it. And because together, we learned that the best families aren't always the ones we're born into. Sometimes they're the ones we choose in doorways on rainy nights." The applause was thunderous, but Sarah was only looking at Emma, who stood at the back of the room holding Lily. Emma mouthed 2 words, "Thank you." Sarah mouthed back, "No, thank you." Because that was the truth. Neither woman could escape. They had saved each other. Sarah had offered her hand, but Emma had given her purpose. Sarah had provided shelter, but Emma had created a home. Sarah had seen Emma's humanity, but Emma had reminded Sarah of her own. On the drive home that night, with Lily asleep in her car seat, Emma reached over and squeezed Sarah's hand. "Do you remember that first night when I asked why you'd help me? I remember. You said everyone deserves a chance, especially her." Emma glanced back at her sleeping daughter. "I think about that a lot. How you didn't just see me. You saw her. You protected her before you even knew us." "She was innocent," Sarah said simply. "And so were you. You were just trying to survive." "We're not just surviving anymore," Emma said softly. "We're living, really living. And it's because you stopped." Sarah pulled into their driveway. Yes, their driveway, because they'd bought a house together, a real home with a yard where Lily could play and rooms for all the life they were building. "I stopped because someone once stopped for me, and someday, you'll stop for someone else. That's how it works. That's how we save the world, one person at a time, one kindness at a time." Inside, they tucked Lily into her bed, kissed her forehead, and retreated to the living room with tea. They talked about their plans for the foundation, about expanding to other cities, about changing lives. But mostly they sat in comfortable silence, 2 women who had found each other in the darkness and chosen to create light. Because in the end, that's what kindness is: a choice to stop when others walk by, to see when others look away, to love when it would be easier to judge. It's the understanding that every person has a story, that everyone is fighting battles we can't see, and that sometimes the smallest gesture, an umbrella shared, a hand extended, a door opener can change the trajectory of someone's entire life. Emma fell asleep on the couch, exhausted from the excitement of the day. Sarah covered her with a blanket and stood for a moment, looking at this woman who had become her sister, her partner in purpose, her family. Then she walked to her own room, where her mother's picture sat on the nightstand. "I hope I made you proud, Mom," she whispered. "I stopped. I saw her. And she saved me right back." Outside, the city continued its endless motion. Somewhere, someone was struggling. Somewhere, someone needed help. And somewhere, Sarah hoped, someone else was choosing to stop. Because that's all it takes to change a life. Sometimes you just have to stop and see her.